Hi everyone, this is Michael Aspiotis. Welcome back to my channel where I talk about practical spirituality. In today's video, I'm going to talk about how to choose a career. So the simple answer to that question is don't choose a career. And by that I mean the typical way people go about looking at that issue is they think of what's practical. Maybe they look at the market and see, okay, well, there's lots of jobs in this sector, and they might be mildly interested or at least mildly capable, and they'll pick that career path for those seemingly practical reasons. Or, as is the case with many, our parents have ideas about what's practical or useful, and so it'll be the doctor, or the lawyer, or whatever is there, kind of guiding us, either guiding us or in more difficult cases, when they've got a very tight and specific path that they're sort of trying to corral us down. So I'm going to tell a story about where I was in that process. I remember in college, I was having this conversation with myself where I had to decide my major area of study. And in this conversation, I remember really feeling like, well, art is my favorite class, and I'd love to study art. I'd love to just major in art. And then this other voice came in and said, well, you can't make money doing art. And so then I decided to do something practical, which was environmental science. It seemed like everyone was interested in it. I was sort of mildly interested in those issues. And yeah, it seemed like a likely place to find a decent job in that field. And it wasn't until later that I recognized that desire to do art was really coming from a really deep place within myself, and this other contradictory voice saying, well, you can't make money doing art, that was just the belief system, or the programming, and not just from my parents, but from my circles or my environment, and also, of course, I bought into it. I bought into it to the point where that voice seemed even like my own. And so it wasn't until later when I discovered that I was not capable of holding down a job in any field in the environmental sciences realm. And I lasted 5 months at that first job, and I knew I had to go do something creative. And so that's really what we want to do, is we want to listen to our hearts and listen to that inner voice, and pay attention to those conversations even that we have with ourselves, where we may feel that inspiration to do something, and we may have our programming, our belief system that chimes in and has a different idea about what's practical. And so this is probably the most important piece of information I can share with you about this, is that it may seem much more practical to be the doctor, to the lawyer, oh, we'll go to graduate school and do this or that. And not that there's anything impractical about any of those things. What's impractical is that if we do those things only because it's an idea of what we think is going to work, and if it's not connected to our true desire, our true passions, our true interests, then we're just not going to go very far. And so we'll be in that job, and the first people that get laid off, first people out of work, are the people whose hearts aren't really into it. The people are only there because they think it's a good idea to be there, not because they're passionate about it. So those are the first people to be laid off. And that would actually be a good result, would be to get laid off or to be unable to find a job in that field. That would be almost the best case scenario, because then you would be forced to go back to the drawing board and say, okay, well, let me find something that fits better, that feels more aligned, because otherwise you could get stuck in that job for 20 years, 30 years, and you wake up when you're 50 years old and your life looks and feels completely foreign, and you're miserable. And then at that point, it can seem really difficult or almost impossible to find your way back to living a life that's more aligned, to go out and do those things that you were really excited about doing. And it is actually never too late. I mean, you can always find your way back, but it can seem that way if enough time has passed. So that's my advice, really, is to ignore the practical thing, because actually the thing that inspires us and the things that excite us and the things that resonate with our true hearts, that thing is really inspired by our direct connection with existence. It rises out from the deepest part of our truth. And because of that, when we go down that path of following that inspiration, it could seem like the strangest thing. It could seem so out of left field. Like, I really feel like I would like to go weave baskets. Fine, it doesn't matter. Do it, because it may seem impractical, but existence itself will reorganize itself, will always support us down that path of being more of who we are, of living in our truth. So, and our practical minds cannot understand exactly how it's practical, or exactly all the things that will happen once we start going down that path. So it does take a little bit of I don't want to say leap of faith, because it's really grounded in this truth that when we're following our hearts, we're being true to ourselves and true to our connection to existence. And for that reason, it's always supported, no matter what. Whereas on the other hand, if we do the idea of what we think is practical, of whatever it is, and it may be that your dream is to be a lawyer or a doctor. I'm not saying that one thing is weaving baskets is the right thing to do, or being a doctor is the wrong thing. It's just important that it resonates with your truth. And it may seem difficult to start down that path if we have family, society, and even our own kind of belief system locked in on these ideas about what is a practical thing or a prestigious thing, or even a possible thing to do. So that's my advice with picking careers. Really sit down with yourself and listen to your own inner wisdom, your own guidance, your own heart, and do the thing that resonates with your own truth. All right, well, thank you very much for watching, and hit the like button, subscribe, leave a question or comment, and I would love to hear from you all. All right, thank you so much.